All right. Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to today's event powered by Bincom Dev Center. My name is Michael, and I'm going to be the host for today's event. So, for just a moment. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So, we're all welcome to today's event. This is the UI/UX Meetup powered by Bincom Dev Center. And today we have two speakers who are going to be talking about user experience in the modern world. All right. So our first speaker is by name Oluwarotimi Adubi, and he has been in the tech industry since 2014. He has worked as a product design consultant for Asseco Software Nigeria, and as well the head of product at High Table Africa. He is currently a product designer at Across the Horizon Technologies Limited. And ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Mr. Oluwarotimi Adubi. Mr. Rotimi, you have the stage now. You can make your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hi everybody. Just let me. I think I have like a slide for you guys. I'd just like you guys to should I see a few things while I discuss about user experience in the modern should I say in the modern world. So basically, I think we all understand what UI UX means anyway. What user experience means. So once you hear, once you hear UI or you hear, should I say UX, right? You basically understand that user experience means, the experience of a user, like that's the simplest, should I say explanation of, saying user experience, like the experience a user has. Now, should I say thinking about software products, right? It has gone way beyond just that. There's user experience in advertisements, there's user experience in even should I say manufacturing, right? So user experience generally deals with someone's experience with something, right? That is basically what should I say user experience means. Now in the modern world, like companies are more competitive now, right? There's an evolution in what design is, right? And I think if we say design, everybody basically understands that design is different from being an artist, right? Being a designer is different from being an artist. Now, being an artist generally means, should I say creating things just for, should I say from your own intuition, right? Coming up with, should I say creative ways to mix colors together from basically your own understanding of something. Now, design is different. Design kind of, relates to the word, tailoring something, right? So, design, you are, should I say, taking a particular requirement, right? And then you are creating something. So it's a mixture of, understanding users' needs, right? And then should I say, like the artistic vision basically that comes into that when it comes to, should I say, designing. So designing generally is you creating a solution or tailoring something, right? Your fashion designer, right, is creating the clothes for your perfect body fit, right? Your chairs, your tables have been designed so that you can support people's weights, right? Plastic chairs basically have 4 legs because they need to support some weights, right? Even though at some particular level, maybe if your weight is over some particular weight, right, the plastic chair will probably break down. But then it has been designed for like should I say, a general wider audience of people who are not, should I say, as big as, something that will collapse a chair. Say in a particular way to fit in the corner of your room, not taking too much space, and then blow breeze across the room. You understand? So things like that is basically what design is. And if we look at companies like Amazon, Google, Apple, you see like everything is designed first, right? Design comes first. And the reason why we see people like iPhone 13 comes out and that phone is about 1.2 million. And you can see people queuing in lines, like people actually like selling their phones or selling things just to get the next. It's because of the user experience people have had with the past products, right? And all like companies nowadays are basically taking user experience to like whole new heights. Companies like Tesla, they've done so much user experience, and with the way they portray themselves in the media, social media, on TV, the kind of inventions that they've been making, right? They are making it seem like electric. That is all user experience, because you are appealing to like the users, should I say, better nature, right? You are really appealing to a user's better nature, and then you are using that to promote your company's, should I say, products and visions and things like that. You get. So the definitions and scopes of work, right, always keeps expanding, obviously, because today you can come up with a product and you say, okay, yeah, this is for sending more that our users need to do more than just send money, right? You probably need to loan money, probably need to do this, do that, right? And then you start adding features and things like that. So the more you improve an application, the better the user experience is. You understand? Like that is mainly what, and in the modern world where everything is competitive, right? Best believe if you have a product that's like, should I say, really close, behind you, really coming for that top spot. And the way to stay relevant is to always keep updating, keep iterating, keep improving on the product. Really, that is really the best way to, should I say, improve on any product, right? And designing, should I say, designing space is really, needs to consider the user's personas, right? And when we say personas really means the different types of users that might be using this application, right? We always think of those kind of things before we even head into designing and stuff like that. So which is always part of the research phase and, discovery phase, right? Where we are trying to discover new ideas, new ways to improve and do better than our competitors, you get. So, and, people's interests are really part of the things that, helps us to create a product that fits in for those people. Now, I can be designing an application, right? Like a mobile app and whatever. I always consider the environment, right? Obviously, we are designing for like an environment like Nigeria. I always consider, oh yes, I'm designing this product for Nigerians to use. Now, there are certain things I need to take into consideration, right? Like what will my text layouts be? What kind of applications are Nigerians used to, right? I wouldn't want to use, icons in an application that looks very different from what people are used to, right? I would like to have some kind of familiarity in the application. So which is one of the things I always consider when I'm mainly designing, should I say, an application like should I say, the Nigerian atmosphere, really. So there are tremendous, proliferations of digital products and large, enterprises to small businesses, right? Large enterprises are building products, but also we can see nowadays that small, startups are really doing big things. Like their beg app was really an amazing one, right? It started as a joke on Twitter, and then before you know it, Abeg is already sponsoring Big Brother Africa, sorry, Big Brother Nigeria, and stuff like that. So because of the user experience of the application, right, the success will not really come that fast if the user experience was that bad. You understand? So a lot of these things are premeditated, they've been pre-thought, and then they've been planned and carefully executed, by the designers and then the developers and the product owners generally, right? So most businesses, right, are basically on digital. Everything is going digital now. Friends who own small businesses selling wigs and they have their own websites, right? It's very, very easy to use, things like companies like Paystack, right? They have no real, like they are making so much, I guess, being in the fintech industry. But then they decided to dive into e-commerce, and then they had a Paystack commerce, platform where you can easily go upload your products and say, okay, I'm selling. And then Paystack will just give you a link to share, and people can easily find your products and, pay for them through Paystack, and then it becomes very easy. So you see that, that user experience. At that point, they're even beginning to should I say, advertise themselves to, business owners, not just, customers, right? And not just developers now. It's now becoming, to the small scale business owners, to, SMEs and startups, and because everybody basically uses Paystack for all these little things. But then if the little guy who sells, biscuits or Zobo or whatever can use Paystack to advertise his products, then, that's like more customers and more users on their platform, right? So the user experience really speaks for itself when you think of, products and companies like that. And there's a big focus on making an outstanding first impression, right? First impressions are everything. Think about it. If should I say the first time you ate rice, right? Maybe it made you purge or something. Maybe you ate rice from like a particular vendor, right? And then you ate it, and then you started vomiting, and then you started purging, right? Now, obviously, your recommendation of that place is going to be bad. If your friend asks you about that spot, you're going to say, "Oh no, I cannot recommend that place for you because blah 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 happened, right? I had this, and oh, I was sick for the whole day, and blah." You understand? So because word of mouth goes a long way. A lot of us have used applications and we've recommended to our friends, told them, "Oh, guy, this app is really good for saving money. This one is really good for, I think a lot of us can relate to things like that. So user experience is really the reason why, because my experience was good, it's the reason why I basically recommend it for the next guy. Understand? So and there's a big, focus, like the focus is really on, creating outstanding first impressions and providing the audience with the best experience, right? And this has brought focus to UX design, which is why nowadays you discover that a lot of people are looking for UX designers. If you go on LinkedIn, I cannot tell you the number of requests I get, on LinkedIn every day, should I say, just of job vacancies that are out there, right? Like at least I get about like 60 a day. And these are usually new jobs that be posted within the last hour or within the last, I say, within the last 24 hours, you understand? So UX design is really, a lot of companies are really, into the UX design atmosphere, and they're looking for UX designers, to really be a part of their startup or their existing company to improve their existing products. So becoming a UX designer at this point has become even more important than writing code, because you can write code, you can be good at writing code, but then you write code for a website or an app that the experience is rubbish. That app is basically not going to make any money, right? Should I say the income? Because if users are not using it, then the company obviously is not making any money. So at some point, it has come to the point where the designers are basically the ones giving the developers instructions, because the experience needs to be optimal and the experience needs to be as good as possible. So basically, I've said, I've already explained what user experience is, right? But user experience, surrounds all aspects, right? It deals with what we see. It deals with what we can do, right? What can you do? So can you click on this for something to happen? But if you are clicking on something and there's something else is not happening, that's already becoming a bad user experience, because you have an expectation, and if that expectation is not being met, then the should I say the user experience starts dropping from the should I say user experience scale on the graph. You start thinking of things like of your you start thinking of yourself like a graph, right? Think of when you wake up in the morning, right? I wake up in the morning and then maybe I had a nice dream, obviously that was a nice experience, right? Then I wake up in the morning and then I get up. Then I start thinking, oh, Lagos traffic. I have to go from Ogba to Ikoyi for work this morning. Like, your experience, because, you are beginning to think of, okay, these are the kind of things I'm expecting. I'm really looking forward to facing traffic. But then you get there and then the road is free and then you move, under 30 minutes to get to work and everything goes according to plan. That's great user experience. But then if you're expecting, oh, I'll get to work in 5 minutes, and then you get to your junction and everywhere is totally blocked, user experience start dropping. So that is basically the way we any other, parts in the design thinking process. So user experience really deals with what you see, what you can do, why you are doing it, right? Your expectations, what's actually happening versus your expectations. Your user experience really deals with all these things. And the focus of user experience is to find the synergy between business goals and users' needs, right? So I want to make sure the business is making money. I want to make sure the users are also, achieving
Hello, Mr. Timmy.
somewhere and active something, right? if my aim is to do that, then it becomes very easy for me to come in, do that and make use of and recommend that app for other people, so that other people, right, will always, download the application. Thereby, the business keeps making their money from ads or subscriptions or whatever it is that it might be. So you can see how, a positive, user experience, right, enhances usability. If it's easy to use, then, obviously I'm going to recommend for my friend, or I always keep using it every day. You understand? And then if it's accessible, and the pleasure of the interactions, things like little animations here and there, or you are giving me feedback, right? If I'm trying to delete something, if you ask me, am I sure I want to do this? Things like that are very, very intuitive, as opposed to an application whereby I mistakenly click on delete and then it deletes. That doesn't make any sense. It's always good for you to have like things like those kind of prompts that asks you, oh, are you sure you want to do this? And then you can also yes or no, it was a mistake. You understand? So those kind of things are part of user experience. We are doing error catching. If you really think of, things like that to prevent errors. So now look at the screen, the images I have on the screen right now, right? What feeling does this give you, right? If you really look at this. Now, I think this kind of gives you like a feeling of horror, right? Gives you like a feeling of, because these are like scary images. But already in your head, you can think of horror movies. Works is should I say, we always find similarities in things, right? We see something and then we always think of, oh, what does this remind me of? What kind of memories does this bring back, right? Those kind of things. Which is why, I decided to just have this little exercise in here so that you can look at some images and then see, okay, this basically, reminds you of like horror movies, zombies, and things like that, right? And then it's a little bit scary also if you really think of the reality of it, right? If things like this are happening in real life, then it's scary, you understand? But then on the flip side of that, right, if I'm trying to find like a happy mood or like a happy setting, right, I can use bright images of rainbows, clouds, people having a good time, flowers, things that bring joy, right? Those are the kind of images. So image usage is also very, I guess, is also important to user experience if you think about it. The usage of images and how we combine things together to make, should I say, user interface appeal to, should I say, general audiences. Everybody's looking for the positive, right? Which is why when something bad happens in the news, you already see people, already dropping comments and, downcasting things. And you always want to make sure your user experience is good, right? And then people are always having good reviews about something. You understand? So sometimes you can use images to even put people in a particular mood, right? To use your application. Sometimes you can use images to send a message across, right? Like error messages. You can use an image of like an error, let's say an error, like an X or something. You understand? So those are ways that all these things really apply to user experience.
Hello,
Now,
Mr. Sorry.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry to cut you short, but can you turn on your video if that is convenient for you?
Turning on my video. Let me see if that is possible. Oh, my camera came on. It wasn't working before, but it's actually not working right now. So I don't know why.
If it's not convenient, you can carry on.
It's just not popping up. Yeah. But yeah, so benefits that come with, effective UX design, right? So there are a lot of benefits to effective UX design. First thing is increased conversions. Now, what conversion means is I'm coming on your website, right? And, I'm seeing things. It's making me happy, and I feel like I can do a lot of things on your website. Obviously, I'm going to sign up. Now, that sign up is already a conversion. Because from seeing a landing page, right, it has already convinced me to sign up for that platform, right? Which is why, I decided to now, sign up for that. So increased conversion is a very, very good benefit to the business owner, right? Then lower support costs, meaning you don't have to do much support. If your UX is good, you don't have to do a lot of support, having to explain what your app does or how people need to do things. If your buttons are self-explanatory, if the text on the page is self-explanatory, it's very, very easy, to just say, yes, I don't need to start explaining things to so many people. You understand? So that's lower support costs. You don't have to have like a bunch of like customer support people when it comes to, little things like explaining how the app works. You understand? Then support SEO. A good UX design will support your SEO, right? Search engine optimization. That's what that means. If people can find you easily, right, on a search engine like Google and stuff like that, it becomes, very easy because that's part of the user experience. Because if a user says, "Oh, I'm looking for blah 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 app," right? If they go on Google Play or Google Store, App Store, or wherever, right, and they search for it, basically, if they can find it easily, that kind of makes it nice and easy for me to go there. I might probably just sign up for this application. Then increase brand loyalty, and then the right UX, right, save cost in the long run, right? You always save cost because you're not spending as much on, if you get it right the first time, you're not, well, which is usually real. People don't get it right the first time, but after a few iterations, you can get it right. You spend less money, and less time, right? Improving on the app, creating updates, calling developers or hiring developers to work on an update or improve this or whatever. If you can get it right, then you've already mitigated all the errors, all the cost of errors that can come on later. And basically, I've already explained everything here, but increase conversions, right? So many websites are basically selling the same thing, right? But if I can go on Mr. A's website and see a lot of amazing things, I can see the buy now button. You're even telling me I can save, right, or pay small to actually buy something. That is better for me, right? And I'll probably buy from Mr. A, who tells me I can pay maybe little by little in case I don't have the whole money, than Mr. B, who tells me, "Oh, I must pay at once or else I can't get the product." Or he's not even offering me a way to maybe bookmark or save it to like a particular page so that later when I have the money, I can come back and buy. Things like that are really the kind of things that improve your usability or your user experience, right? Then lower support costing, having the right user experience makes it easier for your visitors to get all the information about the product or service on your website. And if users are getting answers to their queries on the website itself, they'll not have to be sending you emails or calling you and things like that, right? So, which is really why lowering support costs is really like a very good thing for businesses, right? I don't see a lot of people going on Amazon support and asking for, help on how to buy things, right? The only problem you might probably have is maybe when the payment fails, but then they deduct your money. You can always ask them for a refund or whatever, but those are little technical issues that doesn't even deal with, the UX design itself. Those are things that some errors that cannot be helped, some maybe network issue or something happened somewhere. Those are the kind of things that might solve that. Yeah, supporting SEO, right? I've already explained this, but when it comes to SEO ranking, being searchable, or should I say being Googleable, as I learned that today. Googleable, right? It's like a word that if you can Google something and find it probably on the first page, so it has the SEO is basically optimized. It makes it very easy for people to find them. Because if I'm telling my friend, "Oh, go and check Bincom," right? And then the person searches for Bincom on Google and then can't find anything on Bincom on the first page. The SEO, because he can't find it on the first page, he already gets frustrated because we are used to finding things easily on Google. So now if you can't find it on Google easily, it's a problem and it might be a little bit discouraging to even continue searching, right? Yeah, then increase brand loyalty. Brand loyalty basically is the tendency for a consumer, right, to buy the same brand of goods. So now if your logo is synonymous with people being able to buy things easily, people being able to shop easily, or people being able to find answers to their questions whenever they need them, right? Easily, right? It becomes easy for people to say, "Oh, yes, I recommend this brand for you. Oh, I'm recommending you to buy things from Nike." People like Nike, now those guys are known for their quality and everything. Their user experience is what makes it, user experience even applies to physical products itself, right? It's comfortable. The shoes, they have like a wide variety of them, from the expensive ones to the cheap ones, the ones for athletics and different things like that. So that is really how we optimize the user experience. And thinking of, if I've had a Nike before, I always think of it like, "Oh yeah, I would like to get another Nike again because my experience with the last one was really good, and then it lasted a few years." You get now, save cost in the long run. I think I've explained this also. Paying attention to UX design, initial stages of development is very, very critical. You don't have, like, if you don't have the right UX, right? After you keep spending money to try to improve every single time. And that is not productive because a company's goal at the end of the day is really to save money, right? So if they keep spending money, they might just end up phasing out that project. You understand? And these are the kind of things that are very, very important for a UX designer to really think about. So now let's think of how organizations leverage user experience, right? To evolve, to adapt, and to innovate. Then I'll talk about something called UX maturity. Now, evolution of a company, right? If internet has really brought a lot of things together, right? Information is readily available from your phones, to your laptops, to your tabs, to your smartwatches. You have internet everywhere connecting everybody. Now, things. Let's think of something like a museum, right? In order to provide like an enhanced experience, right? They can actually make use of a lot of new channels, right? In the digital era where things are now very social, like a lot of museums are now doing virtual tours. I know I'm sure you guys have heard of things like virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, right? Where you wear all these VR goggles and things like that. Now you can go on some museums, their websites, you can take a virtual the pandemic really taught us that we can do a lot of things remotely. Even this class probably would probably have been physical if the pandemic hadn't happened, right? A lot of people start thinking of leveraging new opportunities and expanding on things. Now, virtual tours is a very, very good thing. It can be educational for children. They don't have to leave the comfort of their homes or their schools. They can easily log in and then have a virtual tour and easily learn, online. You understand? So that is how, companies who are or were originally, very, very restricted to physical spaces are now going digital, right? Netflix revolutionized the, Blockbuster, having to go to like a video club to rent, movies. Now Netflix, basically has that for you. You can easily go on Netflix, as long as you have a subscription, you can watch as much movies as you want, and then you are good. Even though not all the movies everywhere is on Netflix, but basically you can find something that fits your niche, and then they have artificial intelligence that recommends movies for you based on what you've liked and what you've watched before. So that is how companies keep evolving. Now, when it comes to adaptation, that is also a way of adaptation, right? Offering meaningful experience. You have to adapt to like a changing society, basically. And these efforts should not only utilize new digital tools for communication, but more importantly, recognize the needs and aspirations of users. Now, our users have needs, they have aspirations, right? We have expectations. Now, sometimes I want to book for something, right? A way to do that is because yesterday I was literally in OAU, right? Yesterday, and my cousin was trying to go into school and blah blah blah. We literally got there 9 a.m. and we didn't leave until 5 p.m. because it was so cumbersome, having to try to get your, should I say, matric numbers, all these little things. People are still doing things like, I just discovered people are still doing things like the archaic way, right? But then things are really digital. Like, why can't school fees be paid, via POS? I get a receipt, give my receipt, and then everything ends. You understand? But now everything, like all these schools are still thinking of things like the old way. They want to have like a bank teller. They want you to go from one guy to the other guy to fill a form and all those things. When everything can easily be done online. So, companies, organizations that fail to, should I say, adapt to the modern era will always fall short and fall behind. Even though it's a school, it's education is really necessary. People don't really have a choice. But then, if they could make the lives of students easier, I think they should do something like about taking things digital. You understand? So that's really adaptation. Leveraging on new technologies and making life easier for your existing customers. Now, innovation. As a technical, as technical advancements occur, right? The behaviors of all our users are changing. You know, the cultural, like culture itself. If you think of the Yoruba culture, the Igbo culture, basically, with music, right? Things are really out there. It's part of user experience too. It's really bringing your culture out there. You see music, people, doing music in their languages now, in different styles and things. That is also part of user experience, right? Which is why a lot of tech companies are using a lot of musicians, to promote their products and stuff like that. Those are innovative ways, using social media also and through influencers, right, to innovate is also another way of doing that, right? Leveraging on technologies, right, to create new innovations in virtual reality or virtual technology or in 3D gaming, right, is really an innovation. Because think about it. If I have a museum and I say, okay, I would like to create a game, maybe just a small game for kids, where they can experience a museum but in like a gamified kind of way. That is going to be like a first of its kind. If you really think about it, that's going to be a first of its kind. Or if you are thinking of education, how to make sure, okay, not all kids, you know, since classrooms are becoming filled and everything, we can say some kids can be homeschooled. Why not have like an homeschooling application, right? That is innovation also. So technology will always increase our ideas, will always increase our mindsets, and always, put us in the forefront of, should I say, innovative technology. And finally, like the company itself, right? When we're talking about UX maturity, it's talking about a company's involvement in design or UX design, right? UX maturity really means once we have 6 levels basically. Level 1 basically means design is not really existent, right? They don't think of design, they just do whatever they feel like, and then they make products basically. That is what level 1 is. Level 6 is now design before any decision is made. Even in marketing, design is always thought about first. Understand? That is level 6 UX maturity. And so there are so many levels to that. And these are things that if you are maybe thinking of becoming a UX researcher, a UX designer, or even generally a product manager, right? These are things that you need to know because there are so many, should I say, methods in Agile, Scrum, and things like that that really think of maturity. So that you can really understand how you can fit into your company, right? And how you can be an evangelist or you'll be an evangelist for user experience, really. Because where I am, right, where I work right now, all the companies I work for at the same time right now, right? I basically have to, anything we do, I always have to be like, are we sure this is going to fly? Let us have a usability test session with potential users. Let's see how far we can. Like, let's see how easy it is for people to understand this before we now go ahead and say, okay, yes, we won't start developing because it's really, really important. It's very, very critical. So you have to be a UX advocate as a UX designer or even generally as a person who believes in a company's vision. You have to be like an advocate to say we have to make sure things are done right so that we can promote this company to greater heights. Because the more the company makes, probably the more they'll start paying you, right? They can probably say, oh yeah, we are making so much money based on your suggestions. We increase your salary by 50% or by 100% or whatever. You understand? These are things that are possible. Because if your boss is happy, then be rest assured you'd also be happy. So I think that's just basically, thank you very much for listening anyway. I hope you guys will still have questions for me later, right? Well, yeah, that's just basically the short of it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi, for that wonderful presentation. We'll take questions after the whole presentation, like after the second speaker presents. So for our second speaker, I have Victor Ajibodu. He has been in the tech industry since 2020. He has worked as a graphics designer for Light Ops Creative, and he is currently a UI/UX designer at Bincom Dev Center. So thank you, Mr. Victor, for joining us. You have the floor now. You can make a presentation.
Okay, thank you for having me here. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody see my face?
Yes, we can see your face.
Okay. Thanks. Basically, Mr. Rotimi has laid the foundation. He has built everything himself. I just want to pack him. So, so we'll be talking about user experience in the modern world. Basically, as he said, user experience is like how you feel when you interact with a product. Like, do you feel satisfied? Do you feel what you bought, you receive value from what you bought? Do you feel that this product has done what you intended to do with it? So the table of content I will talk about: introduction, the factors, the design thinking, importance of user experience, implication of user experience, and conclusion. So the term UX was coined in 1990s, by Dr. Donald Norman, an electrical engineer and cognitive scientist. The reason why he went into this research was because he felt like he felt like he operates with all these expensive gadgets and the installation and all, but he's finding it hard to to just like do the basic things like open the door, like the refrigerator and all this kind of thing. Back then they used to think, sorry about that. They feel like anything, any time you have a misunderstanding or you are unable to use the product, they feel it's your fault. That's what the notion used to be until then. So So he started like, what is going on? So he started making this research, and he found out that he was not the only one with the problem. There are also other people that have the same problem as he has, which means it's not as if we don't know how to operate this. It's about the product. It's about the people that designed this. They didn't design it for us to be able to navigate through easily. I said user experience is how a person feels when interfacing with the system or product. Like, I know when most people hear UI, UX, they might just feel like, that's a big word, Sure, it's a big word. There's a lot of process involved, but I'm just here to talk about the surface, like to simplify it, to show you that it's something that we all do. Like it's like a common thing to us. So first of all, let's go with this ketchup bottles. Like you see these two bottles, the plastic one and the breakable bottles. Like when you see both, when you use the two, you will see that you have a different experience, interacting with them. Like the first one, when you want to bring out the ketchup, you have to shake the bottle or you wait for it to come down. But the second one, it's easy for you to just press and it comes out directly. Hope you understand. Be like, yes, this is easy. If I want to do something, I just move on to the next one. So that kind of experience, that's what sums up user experience. So I'll be talking about factors that influence user experience. We'll talk about usability. I'll be useful. The reason why you want to do your product, the reason why a user wants to buy your product or go on your site or interface or interact with your app is because of the usefulness. You get like, okay, I want to check football. Like I want to go online to go and check what they are playing. So I go to live scores. It is useful because what I want, I'm getting it. Up together, that's usefulness. Like every product have to have what they are used for. Every product have to have is their usefulness. So that's basically what that means. Then the usability. Like it must be usable. Like the product you have must be easy to use. Like, okay, I can't just buy a product now and I have to go and call all these people that please come and explain how I'm going to go through this. I know that a lot of product that we buy right. There's what's it called? There are menus to it. Menus come with all these things, but if I ask anyone now that before you are using now, did you read the menu? I know majority of girls will be like, no, I just started using it. Because when you start using it, it looks as if you are built with it. Like it's just easy because the people that design the phone have gone through this process of doing researches and finding out that, okay, let's put this button here, let's put this thing here. So that when we give it to people, they don't have to go through the stress of going through the menu. So that's what we call usability. Like, okay, I want to use this phone to be calling, to be browsing, to talk to my loved ones and all. And okay, so it's doing that, so it's easy. Yeah, that's what we call usability. So the next one is desire. It has to be desire. Like the product has to be desirable. Like, okay, so this product I'm buying, do I love it? Do I like it? For example, when we talk about Porsche and Skoda, like both make cars, they are to some extent both useful, usable, findable, accessible, credible, and valuable. But Porsche is more desirable than Skoda. You understand? It is more desirable. Doesn't mean that Skoda is not like, okay, after performing all these functions, are they desirable? Like, do I want it? If they ask you now that between Skoda and Porsche, I want to give it out now that which one will you choose? I'm pretty sure a lot of you will choose Porsche because, man, everyone knows how Porsche is like, I love it, I desire it, stuff like that. So next one I'm talking about is valuable. Valuable. So the product must deliver value. You can't just make a product that you can't make a product that will solve $100 and be selling it like a $10,000. Hope you understand. Like you want to solve a little problem and you are making the product that will use to solve that problem quite expensive. Like what are we doing? People won't want to even go for that to even say they want to purchase it because they feel it's not even valuable. It's not giving them what they want. Next one is accessible. Like sadly, most people don't really consider this because how should I put it? They don't consider people that are like that don't like people that don't have sites, stuff like that, but they want their product out there. How we get that? See, accessibility often get lost in the mix when creating user experiences. Accessibility is about providing an experience which can be accessed by users of a full range of abilities. This will include those who are disabled in some aspects, such as hearing, impaired vision, motion impaired, or learning impaired. Like, okay, for example, you want to create this website now. When you created the website, you are not making the font eligible. Meanwhile, yeah, like old people out there that might want to go to the site and check it out. And when they get to the site, the font is very small and like, okay, what is here? I can't even go through it. I can't even see what's there. So they tend to put it aside. The next one I'll be talking about is findable. This refers to the idea that products must be easy to find, and in the instant of digital information products, content needs to be navigable and locatable. Like when you go to a site, you don't need a menu to like, okay, this is where you go to site. Like go to a site like I want to go and download music. You don't have to call the owner of the site like, come on, where would I go to? Like everything must be easy for people to find. Everything must be easy for people to see, and credible. This credible means that after the product has done all this, will it last? Like, will the product last? Users must be able to trust and believe what you sell, what you do, the sites that the app you provide, the stuff like that. People have to be able to trust them. So the next one I'm going to talk about is design thinking. Like these are the processes that you have to go through when designing a product, when designing a website, when designing anything you're designing. The first stage is empathize. Like this is the process where you learn about your users. Like, okay, what do you want to do? What problem are you trying to solve? Like let's just take Uber for an example. Like, okay, sure, we all have public transport that we go through and all, but there are some people that don't find this, that don't really like this. Like, okay, we will not be struggling for a bus. That all these people mixing with a lot of people in the crowd. Most people don't like it. So, like, okay, let's try to solve this problem for them. Like, okay, I think we understand where they're coming from. This and that. We start to gather different informations, different problems, like from different people. Like, okay, what is the problem? Then I go to the next stage is define. After you've gathered all this information, you now think of, okay, what is the core problem? Because a lot of people, some people like, I don't really like transport, going in the public transport because going with all this public transport because of too many people in it. Okay, and some people like, I just don't like it. Like it's just the expensive and stuff like that. So at this defined stage, you try to bring all these things together and find the core problem. Like, okay, well, this is the point we are going through. This is the target we want to hit. This is what we are trying to solve. There are a lot of problems out there. You just have to be able to identify a particular one that is very common out there. So after that, after you define, you now ideate. Like this is where your team members or whoever it is, you now start to, bring ideas on how to solve this problem. Okay, should we buy cars? Like, should we provide cars for people to use? Like, okay, let's buy a lot of cars for everybody to use. Like, okay, when they need them, they come. Or should we try to find a way that people that already have this car can also be making money and stuff like that? So this process, this stage, people start bringing different ideas, and even ideas that are out of people start thinking out of the box. Some people can say, Abu, you should provide airplane. All these crazy ideas, they are crazy, but once they start putting them together, you're like, okay, this is what we'll go for. This what we'll pick. After that, then you not prototype, like, okay, we've gone through all this process, like from the empathize, the define, the ideas. Now we have come to develop the product. We develop the product. So when they develop the product, obviously, before they even develop the product, before they finish the product, they have to do like a prototype for people to use, like, okay, like a mock-up, like try it out, check it out. Like, is it what you want? Like, okay, do you feel like there's more to it that we can do? Like, is like, okay, this product, should we put another thing? What do you feel? And stuff like that. Was he able to meet your needs and stuff like that? So this is the stage that you put the product out there, like, okay, when people have used it, they now bring it like, okay, well, no, I feel you can do this. I feel you can just create like a site or an application that people can just go to book a ride and stuff like that. So this will help the designers or whoever it is to have an insight like, okay, let's do this and that. Then the last stage, which is the test, where you test your design with users to improve them. The first stage is just pick around of people like, okay, let me check this out. Let me check this out. Let me see what I'm lacking. Let me see where I need to do. But this stage, you put the design out there, then people try to do, people use it, and you start improving like, okay, this needs to be improved. This needs to be doing, you need to do this and that. So all this process is not just a straight line thing. You can't just design and just say, okay, after all this research, the design, you can't just say, I'm done. Let me just put it out there and just go. That's the reason why you see all these apps that we use, such as WhatsApp. I know when we started using WhatsApp, they don't have status. You don't see status there. But now they've included status. Like the more the word involved, the more our experience starts to improve. The more they try to make your experience with the interface, the experience with the system to improve, that you enjoy it. Like now you can just take your phone and snap yourself and just put it on status, and you be like, okay, you see a lot of people viewing it and you see a lot of people commenting under it, like, okay, I love this, it's beautiful and all. This kind of thing is what you see, the process. You empathize, you define the idea, you prototype, you test, then you go back again. Hope you get that. It's not just a straight line thing, it's non-linear process. It's like the iteration, like you go, come back. So you can't just design a product and just finish it like, okay, this product, they can just use it for 20 years without improving it, without trying to research and think of how can they better improve the experience the consumer, the users have with the product. Then the next one, we'll talk about the importance of UX. Obviously, as I said, we are now in the world of where everybody wants a better way or a faster way to do things. Like, just remember, like what we used to hear now. You see people lighting fire with sticks now. The process they go through, their experience. Someone thinks like, okay, what can I do to improve this? What can I do to make life easy for these people? That's basically what is behind user experience. They are like, the research and all is just to make the user have a better, to improve their life in so many ways, because generally speaking, we are frustrated about things. And what better way to make your customer or your user to feel loved, like to feel like, okay, yes, the reason why this product is out there is just to make this life that is somehow to make it easy for me. Hope you get that. Like in the early men, they stay in caves. From there to hunt. From there, we have these big mansions that we stay in, that we know how we can regulate the heat, we can regulate the cold, everything and all. So the importance of user experience, like increase customer acquisition and loyalty. Like if your product is very good, you see people, just like Mr. Rotimi said, you see people referring you like, guy, have you seen that product? Have you tried it before? Man, that product makes sense. Then it start improving. You start seeing different customers. And once someone try your product and they see that it's amazing, trust me, they want to keep coming for more. Because they'll be like, yes, I trust these people. They know what they are doing. They've obviously done their research and stuff like that. The next one is it maximize revenue generation opportunities. Like, obviously, people want to make more money. Like the reason why these people are doing this product is sure to satisfy user experience, but also to make money in the process. So if you are making a product or a website or an app that is not satisfying what the users want, in a way you start losing customer. The money spent on that project already is lost. You understand? Next one is optimize resources, development time and cost. UX designer, they go in search like, okay, what should we do better? Like, what needs to be done to make this product good before getting to the people that will even develop the design. Hope you get that. Like, these people will go into the market like, okay, what do people need? What do they need to make life easy for them? What do they need to satisfy this need and all? So after that, it will not help them to be able to develop what they want to develop on time, rather than, okay, let's just develop anything we want to develop. Then when we put that there, let's see if people want it or not. That in that way, your resources has been lost, because if what you provide out there is not what people need, then it's just a waste of time, and the resources and everything has just been lost. The next one is get insights from user engagement. Like, okay, when you provide it out there, the results like, okay, let's see how people are enjoying the product. Let's see how people want this and that. So that in a way gets more insight, and you reduce troubleshooting and associated costs. Like, okay, so instead of producing something without doing the testing, without going through all this process, I just put that there. When you put it out there and you start seeing all this troubleshooting, you start seeing people complaining about the product, and or you start bringing it back to try to improve it, and you put it back out there without even going through all this process again, and people start complaining again. Sooner or later, the product will cast aside. The whole website will crash. Everything will just be set aside because it's not what people want, and you've not done your research. So the next one is the implication of user experience. Like, obviously, revenue loss, the money, everything, user get frustrated. Like, this design is complicated. I can't seem to find a way to navigate through it. I can't see if it's not even making life better for me. So they tend to, set it aside. They tend to set it aside.
Is it urgent?
Next one I'm going to talk about is application operator abandonment. As I said, when you were frustrated, when I know most of us have gone to websites, I've used product that once we tried it out, it's just like, no, this is not what I want. It's just terrible. It's just this and that. Then you tend to set it aside. So in conclusion, user experience is how a user feels when interacting with a product or system. Hence, every designer objective when designing product must be user-centered. Every product, since you know that this thing I'm designing, this thing I'm doing is not for myself, it's for people out there that need it. You have to consider them before you even do the product. Everything about a product has to be user-centered. As a designer, you have to know that, okay, this is what the user needs, this is what they want, this is what will make life easier for them, this is what stuff like that. And when all these Uber, Taxify, when they are doing the whole development, they are thinking about the users. They are thinking of how they can maximize their revenue. They are thinking of all this, because if they don't think of those, if they don't do their research and they just put that there, they won't be the one to enter it. And in a way, everything has been lost. I say user experience is equal to common sense, meaning every product aim must be to satisfy a user and make sure it is not a complex to use product. Everything, like, as I said, when a designer is designing something, when all these researches are done, it's supposed to be something that is like psychology towards, like, okay, it is something that you use like on a daily basis. For example, when you see a red color, like, red is associated with energy, red is associated with love, anger, and stuff like that. So all these things, without even telling you, when you see something like red, black, okay, it seems this danger, it seems this love and all. So it has to be easy. It has to be like part of us. Hope you get. It has to make life easy for us. So that's basically what user experience all entails. And I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. If anybody has a question, please do ask.
On the
Hello.
meeting.
Hello, Michael.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Victor, for that presentation. Thanks as well to Mr. Rotimi for the presentation. So we've come to the point of questions. So if you have any questions pertaining the presentations we've made, pertaining the topic of discussion of today, you can ask your questions now.
Hello. Can you
Yeah, I
hear
can
me?
hear you.
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
For the first speaker, in the UX, just as talk about user experience, it's how the user feels with by interacting, how we interact with an application or an interface. My question is, in that regard, user experience, does it also involve some aspects of, does it combine aspects of both design and functionality on an application? Functionality in the sense that will not require maybe an user experience person, expert or designer or whatever, to have some knowledge about some technical aspect of functionality on a page, plus the design scale as well. Now, what I'm saying, if I give an illustration, maybe I come to a website that was maybe designed, and I'm making maybe a low network and all that. I try to load some pages or navigate, and I find it a bit difficult. Spending more the time of loading and all that, spending a little time above what my patient can carry. In that regards, that's the illustration I'm having in mind for this question. Yes.
Okay, I understand what you're asking. So anyway, okay, so let's look at it this way, right? You know, as you said, user experience, right? And then because basically any website, any app, whatever, these days generally require to have a user experience designer or a product designer professional, right? To actually design everything. Now, in order to design, right, there are obviously technicalities that you need to understand, you know, in order to design. You know, there's a lot of research that goes into it, which was what my colleague was actually explaining. He was explaining the design thinking process. Now you have to go through design thinking, because design thinking always thinks of the users first, right? So things like the website loading slowly and sorry, can you hear me? Sorry.
I can hear you now. It's like got interrupted.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think I got lost for like I think network cut off. So sorry, as I was saying, right? In order to think about it, let's think of an architect now, someone who wants to build a house, right? Now, before I start building the house, I have to have some basic understanding of strength of materials. You know, what kind of blocks are we going to be using, right? How high do we plan to make this? How many rooms do they want for that house, right? What do they want this room to be? Maybe that one is a sitting room. And, you know, every room basically serves a function. The same thing for a mobile app or, you know, a website, right? You have to understand, yes, the landing page for a website is the first point of contact. Anybody that knows www.whatever.com is going to land on a page. Now, what we always make sure we do is we optimize images. All the images that we'll be using on that page, they are not going to be heavy images, but they'll still be clear images, meaning we are not using images that are like 1 megabyte. Our image size will be like in the kilobytes, you know, those kind of things. But again, they have to be very, very clear for whatever screen you might be looking at them from, maybe from a phone or wherever. So that even if your network is bad, you can still load, you know, images of something kilobyte. Understand? We think of all those things. Then on any page that you go to, you know, everything has been premeditated. The button to log in or the button to sign up, the button to fill a form or to submit a form or whatever, right? All those things have been thought about. All those things have been thought about. You understand? Everything has been premeditated. So which is the job of the product designer? Now, the product designer doesn't need to write code. He doesn't write code or anything. What the product designer understands mostly is how to... So what the product designer understands the most, right, is how to, how can I say it? How to optimize the user's experience. Because, you know, he himself, right, must have gone through a million websites, studied them carefully, and seeing, why are these websites failing, why are these ones succeeding, and basically an understanding of how he wants the user to flow. So there are a lot of things that are involved in that design thinking process that my colleague actually explained. But because of this class, it's a presentation, there's a lot more to it. But all those things, mainly thinking, just thinking, critically, thinking from other people's perspective, which is why we call it empathy. So empathy is, you understanding another person's point of view, right? And they're using that to, should I say, act accordingly. You understand? Yeah.
Oh, okay. In that regards, now the product designer, you call it, is it not? Is it product designer you call it?
Yeah, product designer. Yeah, there are so
Yes.
many roles under it, right? So
The product designer. Okay, my question is, the product designer is it different from the UX designer or so?
No,
I don't.
Okay. So it depends on the organization. In Nigeria here, we don't like to hire many people to do the same, should I say, pieces of the same job, right? Now, in companies like Google, they have people who do the UX research separately. We have people who do UX writing separately. We have people who do UI design separately, and then people who do UX design separately. Understand? So UI designer can be like somebody who just designs what the UI will look like, right? Then the UX designer will now come back and critique the UI designer's job to say, oh, our users might not have the best, experience with this kind of design. Let us do it like this. Let us do it like that. You understand that kind of thing?
Okay, so it doesn't mean that US designer, like when you come to, you will have some understanding of little code, like basic codes and all that. Before,
no, like you don't see. All you need to understand, right, is what are the limitations of what you can do, right? Obviously, if I'm designing a website, right, I know there are limitations to it. There are little things like, there are some things that, you have to think about desktop size, right? So there are some people will be viewing it from their mobile phones. You have to design for every single page size. You understand? Yeah.
Okay.
So you understand? So those are the kind of considerations that you have to think about. Then also, as a UX designer, you should be a people person, right? So me, usually, what I do is I communicate with my developers at every step. I always ask, what are the things that you guys can do, and what are the things that you guys cannot do? Because there are some animations that I would design that they will not be able to code. So I need to understand how to still maintain the same optimal user experience, but we're just not doing as much animation that the developers understand something like that.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay. There are some questions here in the chat box. The first one is from DR, and he or she is asking, how long will it take me to learn UI/UX from scratch? So I think any of the speakers can answer that.
Hello.
Yeah, Victor. Yes, I can hear you.
Basically, it's all about dedication. Like, okay, what you're about to go into, do you want to learn it? You have to figure out that first, because if you don't dedicate time, you don't go online to make all these researches, you don't go through all this process, it might take forever. There are some people that I know that within a month, they've learned everything they want to learn, and they've started designing because they've dedicated their time to it. And there are some people that are still learning for 3 months, that are still under it, that they don't even know what they want to do. Hope you get. It's all about the time you can dedicate to learning the process, and how far you are willing to go. I hope I answer your question.
All right. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, sorry, to add to that, right? Just to add to that. Now, I love what he said. It's about your dedication. It's very, very important. But also, right, there are also some boot camps, right? Like some boot camps that they really do. A lot of them are even free, right? There are a lot of people trying to train a lot of people in tech. A lot of companies are really trying to bring people into tech. I have some people I train for and stuff like that I work with, right? But mainly, what happens is, you get could be a 2-month space where, probably the classes are just 3 hours online, right? And then probably usually happens in the weekend or something, and maybe the money is minimum, like 20K or 25K, right? To earn you a job where your internship will be paying you about 80K, and then once you become a senior, it can be earning anywhere from 400 to 500K a month. Now, there are a lot of these places like where they train people. Even there's one I recently volunteered for that is training mothers, right? People in like their 30s, 40s, and 50s in UI UX design, graphic design, things like that, so that these women can basically have incomes. So there are a lot of all these programs all around. All you need to do is search online, find them, and basically just get involved and find a way to sign up. And it's very easy. They'll give you assignments to make sure you do everything they tell you to do. And that, because I think you learn more by doing, not just by, maybe YouTube today, tomorrow you're just flexing somewhere and then you forget about it for like another 2 months. It's better to have a structured program where you can say, okay, I've already signed up for this and I'm going to finish this in 2 months. And then you probably get hired as soon as you do that.
Okay, so we have another question here, one from Maurice Okeke. He's asking, can you recommend places one can draw inspiration for designs?
Okay. Well, there's Behance and there's Dribble. Like, all these sites are where all these people develop designing. All these designers put their portfolio and such and designs out there, for people to see and comment and stuff like that. So I think they are the two. Actually, they are the two most sites I go to, when I'm looking for inspiration and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are actually great ones. Dribble and Behance, like those are where most designers, right? Great designers. That's basically where they post a lot of their stuff. Then there are some additional places. If you think of things for like mobile design, right? Apps that you've never used before, apps that exist on like the iOS or Android. There's Mobbing.design. Mobbing.design is really awesome. Almost any app, WhatsApp, the way it looks on on iOS, the way it looks on Android, they have it up there. Every possible screen in that app. They basically have like shots of it down there and some analysis of it. So those are that's like another nice place to really go for that. There's, should I say, then anyways, for things like icons, right? There's Flat Icons was free before, but now they stopped being free. Flat Icons is now you have to pay something pounds a month, a year or something. So, but there are a lot of free icon places where you can find them. There is also inside the Figma community, because Figma is the primary tool everybody learns with. I prefer Adobe XD, but a lot of people prefer Figma, right? So Figma community, there are a lot of design systems. You can really study all these design systems, because design system means a design language. So what a button should look like, what for this. So basically different designs will be there for you to draw inspiration from. And you can easily just use a lot of those elements, in your own design and make things, flow faster. Just drag and drop, copy and paste, and then you are done. You understand? So things like that, those kind of places are very important for you to know too.
All right, thank you. I think it would be helpful if the speakers drop the names of these platforms in the chat box so that they can be taken note of. Okay, so we have another question here from Maurice Okeke. Oh, sorry, there's one before that from Ade Adebayo. So what's the interaction between a product manager and a UX designer? That's the question from Ade Adebayo.
Okay, so I think maybe I should take this one because I'm also a product manager. Somebody's mic is kind of making noise. I don't know that, but yeah, sorry. I do product management, I do product design, I also code on the side, right? Basically. So now the interaction between the product manager and the product designer mainly is your product manager is like in charge, is like your boss, basically, as a product designer, right? He's the guy in charge of everything. And also in charge of the developers, and also in charge of the digital marketers, also in charge of the graphic guys. You understand? He needs to make sure that product goes accordingly. Now, as a product designer, they'll come to you and tell you, oh, we have to design this product, blah, blah, blah. What is your timeline to give us a complete design, right? Now you have to give a timeline. Somebody definitely has to follow up and tell you when you are slacking and when you are not meeting up. Now, every design needs to be broken down into sprints, right? You break them down into pieces to say, okay, I'm working on all the home page, terms and conditions and blah, blah, blah pages on day one. Now, after day one, your product manager is going to reach out to you and say, have you finished what you promised you're going to finish? Now, if you've not finished it, you guys will have words, basically, meaning there's going to be a problem, right? So, of course, you made a promise, you gave a timeline. Because any mess up, right? Your the executives will not come to you directly to tell you, oh, you are messing up or whatever. They'll go to your product designer because he's in charge of that, meaning he gets in trouble. And therefore, if he's getting the heat of all the problem, it's going to be coming down on you really hard. So, but again, right, at the end of the day, product designers make the best product managers, right? Because they understand a lot of the technicalities that, because after designing for like a year, once you start designing, you'll be designing for a year and you've worked with a lot of developers over the year, right? You start discovering there are a lot of elements that go into coding that is different. There's a lot of elements that are going to handing off to like a developer. Because your developers will have to have access to every icon, every image, all the sizes of everything that you are using. Meaning decoding that take a particular time frame, right? Designing an app like Instagram is going to take considerably more time than designing something like Piggyvest. You understand? It's going to take more time because there are more pages, there are more loops, there are things like advertisements, there are things like sponsored ads. You understand all those kind of things? There are a lot of them in Instagram. Or, something like Piggyvest basically is just, investments, payments, and whatever. And that's just basically, the scope of that project. So every project has its own scope. And, the timeline is going to be different. So after, working on multiple projects, multiple products, and you've done your design, you start understanding code a little bit. Because when a developer tells you, oh, we need something for the header, for the footer, or we need responsiveness, breakpoints. These are things that these are like words that the developers use, right? When you're talking about carousel sliders, when you're talking about Vue.js, React, you start thinking of little things like that. And if you are somebody who basically understands, as they say now, master of, should I say, what was that saying again? So there was one about master of none, but whatever it means. I think jack of all trades, right? And master of none, but it's still better than a master of one. You understand? So basically, if you master design, you understand code, you understand other things that go into all other areas, it's very easy for you to relate to a designer. Because every time I talk to a designer and I ask, oh, dude, how long are we going to take to do this? And he says, oh, 4 days. I'll be like, no, I'm not giving you 4 days. I'll give you a week and a half to make sure you meet up with this, because after that 4 days, if I decide and put 4 days on my log, if I come back, you're probably getting fired if you don't meet up your should I say, your timeline, or you're probably just getting scolded or replaced by somebody else on that team. So, at the end of the day, designers make the best because you relate better with people. So even I never went for any product management training or nothing. It was just very easy for me to transition that way,
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi. So we have another question from Maurice Okeke. And he's asking, in designing, are you going to design all the screens that will appear on the page? If so, won't that be too cumbersome?
Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead and answer the question now.
Okay. Basically, you will design all the whole pages, and because when you're handing off to the developer, theirs is just to put it to make it work. Like, okay, this is the whole design. Like, okay, so how is it going to function? How is it going to do? That's the work of a developer. And if you've not designed the whole page, how would people be able to interact with the whole stuff? How would developer be able to develop what he wants to develop? And the second thing is, as time goes on, when you won't start like with a big project, because everything has to take turn by turn. When I started with like one page, but now I can develop. I can design a lot of pages, because in that process you'll be able to monitor what you are doing and stuff like that. At first you won't get used to it, but as time goes on, they say practice makes perfect. So it will become easy for you and stuff like that. Over to you.
Yeah. So basically, right, you design every page. Now, after designing every page, you now have to go into all those pages and create multiple versions of that page. You create a password page where there's an error, right? You create where you're trying to submit something. What does success look like? What does failure look like? what does wrong internet like? Okay, let's say you try to take like you enter the wrong URL for that same, should I say domain? What does a 404 page look like, right? You understand? What does the uploading a picture? What does that progress look like? What does loading of the page look like? You have to design those things. Everything. It's basically your job to do that. Nobody's asking you to code or do anything else. All we want you to do is design like 200 pages of our app and hand over. So that's just basically the job. But actually, like once you start, you really enjoy it. Like I love doing it. I basically stay up to like 2, 3 a.m. just working on projects, and sometimes you even forget that you're actually even designing multiple pages. You just get used to it over time.
Okay, thank you very much. On to the next question here, from Dami Jumo. So he's asking, to learn UI/UX, what is the cost implications and things needed at early stage of learning?
Okay, so to learn UI UX, basically you need a laptop, right? Definitely you need a laptop. Well, you need internet, standard, you need those things. I will not say you have to go learn, with like a team, right? I won't say you have to go and learn with like a team or something like that. You understand? Like nobody's saying you have to go and learn with like a school or whatever. You can easily take your time. There are a lot of free courses online. There are some paid courses on, there's even this Google product design,
Hello, Mr. Rotimi, are you still with us?
can hire you. I will not hire you to build, a house, right? When you've never built something before, right? Even if it's just assisting somebody on building a house, I will not, hire you, right? So those are just the little things. But then, so there are some schools that it's about 20K. There are some 25. There are some as high as 50. The one I trained with back in the days, 210. They collected 50K and then 15% of my salary for 2 years, which was ridiculous. Thinking about it now, it's ridiculous, but it was part of the things that shaped me, right? Because if you think about it, if somebody's collecting 15% of your salary, they are putting you on your hot seat, right? And then somehow I had to make up for that missing 15%, which actually now trained me to be able to take 3, 4 jobs together at the same time and finish them on my timeline. You understand? Meaning you sacrifice some of the extra time, some of your free time and whatever. But mainly it just depends on the one you find, and then just really look at their curriculum, right? Because at the end of the day, will you have something to be able to show your portfolio? And I'm not just talking about this 1-page crap. I'm not talking about the 1-page or the 2-pager craps. I'm talking about the real, maybe as a team, right? You guys work on like a project together. You understand? Something like that. That really, works for your portfolio, because you guys can still be 5 of us worked on all these 50 pages, and then we made it, work, and we presented, even though it might not be built, but at least there's a complete design, there's a complete flow behind that product. That's what really makes, because if I'm looking at to hire a designer now, I always look at the portfolio first and say, oh yeah, this guy has some nice stuff he has designed, but he hasn't done anything before. Let's bring him on as an intern for 3 months, pay him 100K. Let's see how far it goes, right? After 3 months, if he performs well, we bump him to 200 or 250. And then, he's basically certified as a junior designer. So, those are the kind of things that you should always look forward to, because nobody will pay you for no value. You have to bring value to the table. And the proof of that value is your portfolio. So.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from Ade Adebayo. So, is it the work of a UX designer to set up the requirements, or let's say what to look out for in a product? Isn't it just designing? Is identifying problems part of the designer's work too?
Okay, yeah, just go, go for that first. Maybe I'll ask what you have to say.
Okay. Basically, that's why I said that there is design thinking. Hope you understand. It's not just that you just go and start designing. There's research that you make, because there are a lot of things that will have to be in that your app or whatever you are designing, but you won't know that you have to put it there until you start making some research. When you are making those research, you'll not be amazed at things that you don't even think of before. Like, okay, is this what people really want? Is this what should be there? Then you and your team will start, ideating, talking about things like that. And after that, you said identify the problem. Is it part of it? It is part of the designer work. Sure, you get like you are a UI UX designer. Assuming you are just a UI designer, that one is different because you after the whole product, the UX will be like, okay, let's talk about what I feel you need to put this. Like he said, like there are some things that are really okay. I don't think the people are ready for this kind of product yet. I don't think people are ready for this kind of design yet. Hope you get that. So they have to identify the problem because the whole product is from them to the user. So you understand?
Yeah, so to add to that, right? Basically, features, requirements and all those things are basically things that are handed over these days. Like all these requirements have been made by the company or the product managers, all of them together, right? They give you all the requirements, what they want in the app, what they don't want in the app, they put everything there. So you don't go outside the scope of the project, you understand? But sometimes there are some things things like, if somebody says, oh, I would like people to be able to pay for, should I say, maybe goods and services, right? Small. So you want people to be able to pay per month, not just once. Now, if my job as a designer is to go back and think, right? I'll start iterating and then I'll be like, okay, now, how will this really take place, right? How do we ensure security? You understand? To make sure we can actually collect information that we can use to find them. Meaning, I'm going to say, okay, I would like you to take a picture of yourself when I'm collecting data from the user, right? Take a picture of yourself so that we can verify that you're actually the one. Upload like an ID, maybe a voter's ID card, your driver's license, whatever, and proof of address. Those are things that you have to collect, your BVN number. So that even if you jackpot, right, at least if I go bank, say, okay, this guy, this guy don't carry company money go, say, we get a BVN, you understand, we can easily track you. So it's my job as a product designer now to now think of, okay, we are collecting BVN, we are collecting this and collecting that. Now, after I do all that and design the entire app, it's the job of the developers to now say, we have to store this BVN and all these images and all these details somewhere, right? To make sure things are working, things are flowing the right way, you understand? And then any other processes or any other features that needs to be done, developers will make sure they look at the design and ensure that everything works in code, you understand? They will use code to replicate everything, but then they have to make sure it now functions, uses databases, droplets and clouds and all those kind of things to just store data and, manage processes, you understand? So different roles, which is why, one person doesn't do everything in any company, right? A CEO cannot do it all, which is why he hires everybody else. So there are bits of every part of like the project that, that gets handed to a designer.
All right, thank you so much. I would like to thank the speakers who have presented today. I believe everyone who attended has picked up one or two things. Because of time, we're on a schedule. We would have taken more questions, but we're on a schedule, like I said. And right now, I'd like to make a presentation. I'll be sharing my screen right now to make a presentation. All right. So like I said at the beginning of this event, can everyone see my screen? Hello, am I still on?
It's just showing loading. Yeah, it's here.
Okay, thank you. So this event, UI/UX Meetup, is powered by Bincom Dev Center. And Bincom Dev Center is a multi-location based training and development center for technology resources and technology solutions. So we have locations in different places. First of all, virtually near you, we have a location at Yaba, Lagos State. We have at Ibadan. We have at Kano, Kaduna, Ijebu, Jebu-Igbo, Warri, and we also have plans to expand to other locations. So these are some of our services. First, we have the Bincom Academy. We have the Bincom Tech Internship, the Bincom Tech Apprenticeship, and we have the Bincom Community Events and Projects, and we have the Light Space. We have the Bincom Global Tech Program, the Immigrate Program, and the Bincom Mentoring Platform. So let's drill down to some of these services. First, we have the Bincom Academy, which is an intensive training program facilitated by Bincom Dev Center. Each technology or application development class is typically 4 weeks of intensive training, during which period the participants will be taken through a training curriculum for that knowledge track in a Montessori approach. So we have various classes available. We have the Python mobile app, we have the PHP MySQL Foundation, and a list of other classes. So for a full list of classes that are available, kindly visit bincom.net/academy. We have the Light Space, which provides helpful workspace intended to encourage collaboration and drive innovations in the startup ecosystem. So we have spaces that are created and designed for various events like seminars, conferences, and get-together. So we have this Light Space at our various locations. And to find complete list of locations, kindly visit blog.bincom.net/campuses. The next service there is the Bincom Community Events and Projects, which are geared at giving back to the community and building the tech ecosystem. They focus on informing and exposing the youth to the current technology trends and how to prepare for the future in technology. So Bincom Community Events is divided into 5. We have the masterclass, we have the meetups. This is an example of one of the meetups, the UI/UX meetup. We have the idea sharing, under which we have Bincom ICT Career Talk and Career Drill Downs. We have our ICT Career Talks every last Saturday of every month. We have Explore on the Move and the Challenge and Brainstorm. So some of our other initiatives include the Bincom Tech Network. So Bincom Academy uses this network, the Bincom Tech Network, for collaboration purposes. Interaction with facilitator and other participants of Bincom Academy class will happen on a channel in the Bincom Tech Network. So the Bincom Tech Network is a developer and tech resource community powered by Bincom. We believe this will grow into one of Africa's largest community of tech enthusiasts and experts. We have the Bincom Tech Club, which creates an ecosystem that enables tech enthusiasts who have little or no knowledge on tech to build and rub minds with tech experts, leveraging on the tech community to front-end the possibilities for individuals/club members to become tech experts themselves. So under the meetups, we have the PHP Meetup, Cloud Hosting Meetup, which was formerly Amazon Web Services Meetup. We have the Angular Meetup, Digital Marketing, Data Science Meetup, Laravel/E, and DevOps Meetup. We have masterclasses, under which we have the Bincom Startup School, Social Lender Digital Marketing, Digital Financial Services Masterclass, Technology Enhanced Learning Series. And we have also the Idea Sharing Series, under which we have the Bincom ICT Career Talk. Like I said, this event holds every last Saturday of every month. And then we have the Immigrates Open Day. Now the next service there is the Bincom Global Tech Program, which is on a solution to launch your tech career globally. And it is focused on 3 key pillars, which are learn skills, gain exposure, and then gain experience as well. We also have a program or a payment program, which is the Learn, Take Now, and Pay Later. So Bincom Global Tech Program will cover 1 to 2 years, which will cost 1.2 million naira fee, but can be paid later instrumentally through the income sharing agreement. So I'm about to play a video that explains the Bincom Tech program in details.
What are the things you need for this program? All you need is your laptop device, a hunger and a passion for IT. Those are the core tools that you need. The total cost of the Bincom Global Tech program for the period of 1 to 2 years is just 1.2 million naira. But you don't need to worry about that because it gets better. We have various financing options to help you cover the cost of the program, so you don't need to have any money to even apply or be admitted to the program. One of the financing options that are available for this program is the income sharing agreement. What that simply means is that the company will sponsor your learning, so you would learn for the period of 1 to 2 years, and you only start paying back when you get a job and you start earning your income after this program. This means that aside from skills, experience, and exposure, the company is also willing to invest its own money on you. That's a total package. What are you waiting for? You need to go on our website, bincom.net/global tech. You need to register and then launch your global tech career. I'm sure that the tech world, the tech industry is waiting for a great talent like you. Thank you.
All right, moving on. We have the Emigrate program, which provides tech-enabled visa opportunities for people in tech, either the technical side or the business side of tech. So it gives opportunities to live and work in countries like the UK, USA, Canada, and France. So to find out more, visit bincom.net/emigrate. We have the personalized consultation sessions, which lasts for a period of 30 minutes to 1 hour and costs the sum of 200,000 naira. We have the Emigrate Premium, which also costs 1.2 million naira. You can find out more information about Emigrate services and pricing at bincom.net/emigrate pricing. So we have this ambassador program, which Bincom Dev Center is in partnership with My Circle. So it's a campaign that brings the ability for people to earn from their network and positive social influence. So you get to earn 10% from Bincom Dev Center for any of its services which you refer. For example, you earn 10% of the payments made by a prospective Bincom Global Tech participant referred by you, which is 120,000 naira. So if you'd like to reach us, kindly send us a mail at bincomdevcenter@bincom.net. You can call the number that is displayed on your screen, or you can visit our website, bincomdevcenter.com. All right, at this point, I will entertain questions about my presentation or feedback, if you have any. Thank you. Okay, so I see here someone asked if we can have the slides of the presentation. Sorry, I would like to know if you're referring to the presenters that spoke, Mr. Rotimi and Mr. Victor. Is that the one you're referring to? Okay. Okay, although I don't think Mr. Rotimi is still on the call, but Victor, if you can drop a link to your presentation in the chat box, if it is okay by you, if that's something you can do, please, you can assist them. All right, so at this point, if there are no further questions for me or for the speakers, I would like to thank everyone that attended this event and all the people that asked questions that contributed to the liveliness of this event. You've really made this event a success. And I would like to say thank you to you all, and also to the speakers, Mr. Victor and Mr. Rotimi, although unfortunately Mr. Rotimi is no longer here. So yes, once again, thank you very much for attending. And at this point, this event has come to an end, and I bid you all farewell and enjoy the rest of the day and have a lovely weekend.